Well, hello everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over the all-new Ford Escape. Before we get in this video though, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. And then if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Let's get into it. So taking a look at the front end of the new Escape, I think they did a really good job with the styling, but it does kind of remind me of like the Infiniti QX50 or QX55 with the front end. It's definitely very reminiscent of that. But you guys can see there with the headlights and then with the fog lamps down below. Notice the grille is blacked out with the Ford logo there in the center. And, you know, compared to the previous version of the Escape, I think it looks really cool. I think that it's definitely a move in the right direction. It's definitely an improvement, but it doesn't necessarily look all that unique, if that makes sense. Now, wheels are all blacked out, which makes sense with this trim. This is an ST line. You can see the body painted fender flares. I think that also looks really sharp. And then the body painted mirrors as well. And I think that Ford does a good job with the color combos on their cars. We don't put weird things. Notice the ST line badge there on the side. And then you can see the full side view here. It doesn't look like it's really all that much different in terms of overall size compared to the previous version. I think it's pretty much the same size, at least appearance-wise. Now you guys can see the taillights. Those don't look as different as the front end design lights as compared to the previous version. And then the hatch didn't work because the car had a dead battery or something. I guess I didn't plug it in. But you can see storage space in the back is solid. That's one of the big benefits of the Escape, is that you do have good storage. And then you can see the parking sensors there at the bottom. And then notice the dual exhaust tips there as well, which also give it kind of a sporty look. Got a receiver hitch there in the center. I actually didn't even notice that when I went there. But then popping inside, this is where things get kind of interesting. So you guys can see it's just like hard touch plastic there. But you have padding down below that. So I think the design looks pretty decent. Seats look really cool though. Like look at the, well, if the camera will focus on it, look at the kind of like quilted design there on the side with all the stitching. I think that looks really good with the red stitching. So job well done with that. And then you can see the storage pocket there on the back of the seat as well. And then the next thing I want to show you guys actually is kind of like the full rear end with everything somewhat closed. I don't think I could get, I can get the hatch all the way closed because it dead battery. But yeah, I mean the back end, it looks different than the previous Escape, but not as different. So that kind of stayed the same, but there's a lot of design limitations with the front end, or back ends of cars, rather. Now with the front door panel, it has the same design as the rear. I do think the stitching with the padding looks pretty nice. You can see the handle right there, and then blind spot monitoring with the mirrors. And then you can see just a bunch of Ford switchgear, right? It's got memory seats though, which is a nice function to have. And then the front seats, again, I think they look really cool. I think they've done a good job with the design there. Again, look at the stitching in the center. That looks really cool. Power adjustments there on the side, which makes sense because memory seats, right? And then look at the pedals. Pretty nice looking, again, for more of like an economy type car. And then you guys can see our light control, again, just more normal Ford switchgear. Steering wheel is really cool. Ford does a good job with their steering wheels. So I like the perforations there. I like the stitching. I think that also looks really sharp. And then you guys can see the stuff with like the cruise control, controls the center stack, all the normal stuff with the Ford. And then, again, those stocks, pretty plasticky looking. Notice the infotainment system there. And you guys probably also noticed that the gauge cluster fully digital. And then that's pretty cool with the trim on the dash. Yeah, it's always hard to film on auto shows because not enough lighting for the camera to really get enough. But stop-start button also looks pretty good. And then we got a bunch of controls down there for like parking assist, for example, your volume control, everything. So pretty straightforward setup. And then it looks like you got a wireless phone charging pad there. And then we also have a 12 volt as well. And then it's got the dial shifter that Ford seems to be putting in more and more vehicles as time goes on. And notice with the center console, again, you got like the red stitching, which is pretty cool. And then regular mirror, nothing too crazy happening there. And then you guys can see sunglass holder, and then it does have a sunroof. So another nice feature. But overall, I'm impressed. I'm excited to drive the new Escape, see if it drives any different. But I will say that overall, I think it definitely looks like an Infiniti, but it looks better. That's for sure. So now that we are done touring the new Escape, let's quickly talk about some of the key features with this car, other than the stuff that you guys already saw. So first off, powertrains. There's going to be quite a few powertrain options available with the new Escape. There's going to be the base engine, which is a turbo 1.5 liter 3-cylinder with 181 horsepower and 190 pound-feet of torque. So same powertrain that you can get now, and also that's in the Bronco Sport as well, because this is a sibling vehicle of the Bronco Sport. And then you can also get a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that produces 250 horsepower and 280 pound-feet of torque. Now, both those powertrains you can already get. I think they're pretty exciting, but the one that I find the most exciting is the hybrid models. There is a regular hybrid, and then there is a plug-in hybrid as well. The plug-in hybrid, I think, is the most exciting because I'm just a huge fan of plug-in hybrids. Having the ability to go on all-electric range, as well as have a gas engine, and also be able to, you know, charge it up as well. I just think it's the best of both worlds for efficiency, and then also, you know, for performance and practicality. Like, it just combines everything really well. So I'm really excited to review one of those. But regardless, super solid powertrain offering. Like, I know some people might talk about the reliability with a turbocharged 3-cylinder or turbocharged 4-cylinder. Like, I get it, but everyone's going towards smaller displacement turbocharged engines. But when you compare the Escape to a lot of other vehicles within the segment, there's not really anything that is as convincing. Like with most vehicles in the Escape segment at this point, you got to settle for a CVT, and you got to settle for a naturally aspirated engine that's pretty dang gutless. And so the Escape's going to have some performance that other vehicles don't. Now, the one downside that I do see with this new Escape, frankly, is just with the fit and finish and some of the material use. So I tried to like show in the video with like tapping the interior, but it still has that kind of like cheap feeling Ford interior. And I frankly like some of Ford's interiors with the design that they've done, but the material use is not necessarily, I don't know, up to par with some of the competition. Like, I've recently reviewed some of the newer Subarus. You know, Toyotas, I review them like every single week because there's so many different Toyotas to review. Mazdas as well. And so, like, if you look like a Mazda CX-5, for example, that's going to kind of compete with the Escape, or a Toyota RAV4 or Honda CR-V, like, the fit and finish in all those cars is just better than what you have in the Escape. So that's the one big downside, is it's like you get all this performance, but then the interior, it looks really cool and has cool tech, but it's just the feel of some stuff is a little bit on the lackluster side of things. Now, when it comes to the styling with this new Escape, I think it's absolutely amazing. Now, the last version of the Escape I didn't think really needed to be changed because I thought it looked really good already, and now they've improved things even more. So, like, good job with the design department at Ford, because they took a vehicle that I thought it kind of looked like a mini Porsche in a way, to making it just look even cooler at this point. So I think that was great as well. And then the other cool thing about the Escape with the, you know, economy that we are going into is the fact that it's still, you know, going to be relatively affordable. I mean, you can purchase a brand new Escape for well under $40,000, which I know that's a lot of money, but like in today's market, when everything's like $50,000 plus, it's definitely more on the affordable side of things. And then also the fact you can get it in all-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, I think that's also a cool thing that adds to the practicality overall. And so, you know, as my overall opinion on the Escape after seeing it for the first time, I think it looks great. I think the interior looks really cool. I think the tech's cool. I think the powertrain options are awesome. Like, having tons of powertrain options is fantastic, and having a plug-in hybrid option is also fantastic. But I do think that the fit and finish and some of the stuff is a little bit lackluster. Like, it kind of has a cheap feel to it. You can't knock it too much though, because ultimately it is an economy car, but it's kind of hard when there are other vehicles in the segment that, you know, I don't know, just are a little bit more exciting because of the time that's been spent to the interiors. But let me know what you guys think about this new Escape. Would you go for it, or would you rather get one of the other vehicles in this segment? So like CX-5, RAV4, Hyundai Tucson, so on and so forth. And anyways, that's all.